Hi, guys, and thank you so much for joining me again. I am excited to be bringing to you another installment of Epic Health. In this first session, we have yet another amazing speaker, and we will be talking about stress in pregnancy. I am so excited to have this opportunity to bring to you those that are really caring about where you are in your pregnancy, where you are in your life, and where you are in your mommyhood journey. You matter. We care about you. And that's why I keep bringing to you individuals that are poised and ready to share with you the details that we find to be important, that we find to be things that moms deal with all the time, every day. Things that we go through that we want to make sure that you are prepared to face as you move forward in life. So today we have an amazing opportunity to welcome Natasha Nichols. Hi, Natasha. So nice to have you here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So we're going to get started today again in talking about you being emotionally epic by having the tools and the tips to deal with stress in pregnancy. So, Natasha, thank you so much for coming with us today. Please take the floor and share a little bit about who you are and why you're interested in sharing this with us today.
Okay, well, again, my name is Natasha Nichols, and I have been a clinical counselor for I'm going into my fifth year, and I have been working with families and young people and older people and just dealing with them and helping with stress management and self care. So I kind of want to make sure that I am giving an opportunity to share some information about stress and how to cope, particularly today, what that means, being able to cope and what that would mean for a pregnant mother.
Well, thank you so much for coming on to do that. So it's amazing what you've done in the field. So we don't have a whole lot of people that we can come to that we say, of color even, that we can go to and we can say, hey, this is what I have going on. Can you listen? Can you help me? And to find someone, I'm excited that looks like me, right? And that can help me deal with the things that I face on a regular basis as a mom, right? I've had four kids, as you guys know, and I tell you, and I guess probably I should say, for those of you that don't know me, I am Tomesha Walker, the baby birthing godmama. I have four amazing young ones by birth and four awesome kids by wedding present. And I've been married for a little over 18 years. And so it is a real journey, right? Having to have children, birth children, and then work towards that golden place, right? Of being okay with yourself as a woman, with yourself as a mother, right? And not only a mother of those you've birthed, but of a blended family and as a wife. So that balance is like, woo, all in of its own, right? Because we deal with issues just as women,
Yeah.
just as the women, we deal with issues all by themselves. And I would encourage anyone, like I have been in counseling now for about 2 years. And I would encourage anyone to go to counseling. I really, really would. I have found it to be so helpful. And Natasha, thank you so much for going into the field that you are in. We need you. We need more people like you that care, that are there. And I am excited that you've decided to share some of your knowledge and your heart and love of people and learning about our minds and our emotions. Like, I'm excited that you're here to share that with us today. So, guys, if you are pumped that Natasha is here to share wisdom with us today, please make sure you give a shout out in the comments. Say hi. Say thank you for her taking the time to stop. I mean, 5 years in, she didn't have to come and talk to us, but we appreciate you. So, guys, go ahead and put your thanks in, put in your favorite emoji, and let her know how you feel about the fact that she took the time to stop out of her busy day, out of her motherhood journey, to go ahead and just share with us things that can help us as we move forward to be healthier and emotionally epic. So, Natasha, I won't hold you up anymore. We value your time, and I value you guys' time for joining us. So, let's hear it. What are some of the things that you would like to share with us about stress in pregnancy?
Okay. So one thing I can tell everybody about stress is that naturally we all have stress. Stress is going to be a normal part of life. The big problem comes in is when we're having that increased stress. So particularly in pregnancy, we should be careful um, because our bodies do certain things when we're under stress, and one of those things our bodies does is it releases a hormone called cortisol. Now, cortisol is a hormone responsible for the fight or flight response. That fight or flight response usually is there for a purpose. So if we're under stress, it kind of helps us with decision making. It could kind of shut us down depending on how we kind of process our stress and what the situation is at hand.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So, with us, dealing with so many situations of stress, like you said, it is there to help us, right? Cortisol and the different things that we have within our body, all of the different chemicals that we have in our body that are acting when we are dealing with stressful situations, these specifically, and you listed cortisol and what else?
So cortisol, it's set up in I believe it's the amygdala in our brain, and it kind of adrenaline. It kind of
Mm-hmm. Helps with that.
yes.
Mm-hmm. So
So
I can see where that would be helpful.
yes, because sometimes we need to be alert. Sometimes we need
Yeah.
red flags and hey, this needs to be taken care of. Hey, there's a problem. Or even
Mm-hmm.
it even happens when we're excited. So like if we're at an amusement park, we're on a roller coaster, same kind of hormones are being released. So it's just that excitement, um, positive or negative, that these hormones are released. And then what happens though with cortisol though is if we're under too much stress and under a constant or a regular stress, it affects other organs in our bodies, particularly our heart and our pancreas, where insulin is regulated. So
Wow.
yes. So for cortisol to be increased in our bodies, it can increase heart conditions, and it can also increase our risks of developing diabetes.
Oh, okay. So let's think that through. Let's just take a pause on that.
Mm-hmm.
We have some of the highest numbers when it comes to those diseases.
Yes, and all of that is stemming from stress. That's coming from
Wow.
prolonged stress or extreme stress. Like some of us are in some pretty devastating situations, or situations, especially this year, 2020, with COVID-19 right now, being locked at home. Some of us are losing jobs. And then just for that to be occurring during pregnancy, it has another effect of it too, because unfortunately cortisol can be passed through the placenta to the
Mm-hmm.
child. So
Yes.
that will increase their risk as well.
My gosh. And so I've been doing some research and some study for new certifications and exams, and I'm just like, it is amazing the amount of things that we can pass through the placenta and on to our children, right? And the experiences that we pass on to them. And I actually had a coworker that sent me an informational snippet that was talking about how when it comes to mothers, the eggs that we carry, right? Our grandmother carried our mother, and our mother was carrying us. So those generations were all experiencing the same things. Just let that sink in for a moment. So if you were experiencing multiple generations of high stress,
Mm-hmm.
you have things that you're passing on
Absolutely.
to the next generations. Girl, woo! Wait a minute. Okay, so we are noticing that there's increased issues with
Yes.
heart issues, with diabetes, and with maternal mortality,
Yes.
with women passing. And so I've been noticing locally. right? So there was a documentary released in like the last 6 months that is named Toxic, and you guys can look that up and watch that. But it specifically addresses this, and it talks about the stress that mothers go through from in the hospital systems, the systematic racism that they experience there, and stresses that they experience there, to watching the news and watching children, be hurt or murdered or killed, just people in our community that are hurt and that might look like them, right? So it causes some concern because it's like, well, wait, I'm about to birth this child into this. Like the same thing could happen to my child over little to nothing, reasons that don't really seem plausible or okay for there to be a loss of life. And so it literally was just going through all of the things in a basic day or two that a mom might deal with. And it was associating it with some of the reasons why not only the mother was having some issues, but why they were either having issues with their pregnancy and or there was an increased amount of loss in pregnancy. And
Yeah.
so hearing you say this is just like, oh my gosh, like it's true. Like
Yes, it is.
the
Yes.
facts are there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Very unfortunate. It also can affect if baby's born prematurely as well. So it's like the toxic stress and all the toxins and things like that in the body are going to affect the baby. And
mm-hmm,
this is why it's very important to work on stress management early. And
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Ooh, yeah, I can agree with that. And like I've had a premature baby. So I had my youngest son was born at 36 weeks. And so he was in the NICU for some time, and we dealt with lung issues, and most of you guys know kidney issues. That's why I wrote my first book. And so that one being called Purpose in Pain, and just helping to encourage other people that were kind of in the same situation. And hearing this makes me wonder, like, makes me want to dig things apart a little bit and think, like, what stresses was I going through, and um, did it associate at all with what I had to do? Because with him, when I found out that there were issues, I had to do things like increase doctor's visits and non-stress tests, which are tests where you're able to go in and they put you on the fetal monitor and they just watch the what is printed out to tell you how the baby is doing and how they're kind of reacting and dealing with just your normal, just your day to day. How are they handling that? And I had to do that twice a week.
hmm.
So it became like I was in the doctor's office. Like it was, you walk in and they're like, hey, like it's not even, it's not even, can I see your insurance and ID? It's just like, hey, sis, saw you the other day. Good to see you again. Let me get your room for you. So I bet that all played a part, of how I felt and the stress that my baby felt with me having to deal with that. And you talking about like the fight or flight reflex. I remember, occasionally sitting on that table and kind of feeling like, should I run? Like the stress of watching to see what the printout would be, the result, what the nurse was going to say, what the doctor was going to say when they looked at that, and being like, okay, well, am I going to comply with what they say, or am I running, like, because I want to go home and I don't want to be here, and I don't want to go to the emergency room? Like, how am I going to deal with this? So I can totally attest to living through, what you're saying and it being plausible, because now that you say that, like, I remember feeling that. I remember having to decide, what my next step was going to be, or feeling like I'm frozen in time, dealing with things in the hospital and in the neonatal ICU after he was born. Like, I can totally see what you're saying.
Yes. Yes. And I mean, just thinking about even mothers who had planned pregnancies or unplanned pregnancies and having
Mhm.
to feelings of preparing for a child coming in. So that's going to bring some stress. What kind of support systems you have, that could bring stress if you don't have what you need. Um,
Mhm.
it's a lot. It's a lot because you're told you should be eating a certain way, you should be doing certain things, and not everybody has that luxury to even be able to do that. And so
Yes.
that's going to bring on another stress, a stress of lack. So,
Wow. Yeah. Thinking of support systems, I remember being in the NICU, and getting really sick
mm,
because I wasn't doing self-care, and the nurses were helping, but it was like I was trying to make sure that I was there for my son, that I was there doing everything I could, and I really was neglecting myself, and ended up having to be readmitted to the hospital and spending time away from him because I had gotten so sick, in giving and not taking the time for self-care, not taking the time to realize for me that I had to be well. Like that was a rude awakening for me when I had to go into the hospital and literally lost a good like 36 hours, like where I had to be on IVs and I was just so out of it that they were like waking me up to talk to me because surgery was necessary for something, or this or that, and it's like I missed all of that time because I couldn't do it.
yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Yes, well, stress will definitely do that.
Mhm.
Definitely do that.
Yeah. So wow, there's so many things that we have to think about. Like I feel like oftentimes we don't even associate, because I know I didn't associate the need for those different things, support system, right? The fact that I even had hormones that I needed to pay attention to, right? So, yeah, okay, they talk about us being a little out of whack. Like that's what some people will say
Yeah.
when you're pregnant, like why are you crying at that commercial? Like that's usually the only thing that you really hear. Or like somebody said cat. What are you crying for? Why are you crying over cat? And you go into this blubbering reason as to why from when you were 6, or like, because that commercial of cat food was just so amazing to you, like, and people are just like, okay, sure, but that's all we really hear about that. Like you don't hear a lot of people that talk about the fact that it plays into so much more. And so making sure that we look at all of those different areas and being very present, I think is really important so that you can be centered. Like for me, I know it changes my day when I take the time to pray and to read in the morning, or to do something like journaling. Like for me, that's grounding. Like I um feel like I can approach the rest of my day in a solid manner where I'm not shaken by things that are happening, where I'm not totally bowled over if things don't go the way that I think that they're supposed to, but I'm able to address it and be okay with the fact that it's not perfect, right?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
I wanted to happen didn't quite happen. And so um I know that I was missing out a lot of times on that, when even though I was in the NICU and sitting there with my son, like that's not where my head was. Like I was in a full fog just over everything that I was dealing with and how emotionally stressful it was for me. So hearing you say these things, and I love just the tips and the pointers that you brought up as far as us making sure that we have some type of support system, that we're paying attention, to how we feel. Like those things are really amazing. And then just making sure that we keep in alignment, the different things dealing with self-care as we care for our children, just our health, the things that we're eating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would even say the things that we're saying, right? I would even say the things that we're saying are so important. And it makes just a big difference in the fact that we are able to keep moving forward and not get stuck, not get so sick that we can't care for ourselves and care for others. Because, come on, ladies, let's face it, we give out a lot.
Yes.
We give out a lot. Please give yourself credit. Put your hand up in the comments if you feel like you give out a lot. I know I give out a lot.
I do too.
Okay. That's how it is, okay? Motherhood is a giving thing, and I don't think a lot of people really talk about that. I think early on, like if it's your first pregnancy, people are oftentimes when you get into relationships, they're like, oh, so when are the kids coming? Like that's the like they don't really talk about the fact that there's so much that plays into that, and
Yeah.
how grounded we have to be in who we are as women, you know, who we are as a person, who we are as a partner with who we're with, our husband, who we are as a mom. What is that going to look like? Like, I love sitting down with moms and planning that kind of stuff out, because I'll tell you, like, a lot of times people just don't even think about that. It's just like this rush, 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 rush to pregnancy, rush, 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 rush to delivery. And then it's like, oh, we go home. Like, it's another step. Wait, there's more. But wait, there's more. Yes, there's more. Like sitting down with moms and planning out, and dads, and planning out that whole point at home. Once you leave the hospital, there's way more to come in that fourth trimester. And so getting an opportunity to talk through emotions and how you feel and how you deal with it, like that's the stuff we go over in childbirth education classes, where we're like, dude, you're gonna have some emotions. You're gonna have some stuff you need to deal with.
Yeah.
Yes, we can put together a birth plan. Doesn't mean that's exactly how it's gonna go, but you gotta be flexible. But just have an idea, and be educated about what you want. So I have to say thank you for educating us tonight about things that are happening and things that are going on for us. If you could do us a huge favor and just give us a little recap of the things that you have shared, those tips, and then help us as ways to apply, and become emotionally epic and healthy in the things that we are doing and that we are facing.
Yes, absolutely. So to recap, just basically talking about stress and the effects of stress on our bodies regularly, with or without being pregnant, but particularly in this case, being pregnant, and how when we are stressed out, it does trigger a fight or flight response, which releases cortisol, a hormone into our body that increases our risks for heart issues and increases our risk for diabetes. Um, and in terms of the pointers, I kind of stressed the importance of having a support system. With that support system, it could be friends, it could be family, um, it could be even your the staff that you have at the hospital that's going to help you. That you want them to be supportive, because it's not necessarily a given that they're going to be. So if you don't like your doctor, maybe researching another doctor if you could choose it, or switch a doctor, or particularly if you feel like there's a lack with supports, especially emotionally, seeking out therapy. So finding a counselor, someone that you could talk to through those issues that might be able to support you. Even exercise, like really that releases some of those stress hormones as well. Not release them into the body, but like kind of alleviate them within the body. So that's a good way to also cope with stress, whether you're pregnant or not. So these are all still good tips either way. But the caution is that if they're not being taken care of, that those toxic hormones can also be transferred over to the baby through the placenta. And that the baby's already going to have enough to go through being birthed, and we don't want to add anything that might harm the child.
So true. So true. So thank you so much for helping us to take tips to be not only educated, but to also have tips to help us move forward in what we're doing and being emotionally epic with our families. So, guys, I want to make sure that you are ready. Like you are prepared to do this. So, if you feel like you would like to expand on this journey some more, if you feel like you would like to move forward with this, of course, we have resources for you. Of course. So you guys can find Miss Natasha Nichols online. We're going to share in the informational box about how you can find her on social media. And then you can become even more transparent in the way that you live your life and share about yourself. She has created an amazing and wonderful YouTube series that I want you guys to catch up on here soon, and make sure that you like and that you share it with others. And then I want to make sure that you guys go ahead and grab Emotionally Epic. It's a wonderful journal that's going to help you be present. So deal with your emotions where they are and help you to move forward into the emotions that you desire to have, or even making sure that you stay where you want to be, which is emotionally epic and healthy. So, again, thank you for joining us today on Epic Health. I'm so excited, Miss Natasha Nichols, that you have decided to join us here and share your wisdom and your knowledge. Thank you again.
Welcome. You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
So, listen, guys, come back with us again next time. We'll have more. This is the first of many in her series. So, make sure you join us for the next portion of Miss Natasha Nichols sharing with us here on Epic Health. Listen, be emotionally epic. Bye, guys.